Welcome to this edition of UpFront, a monthly program produced by New Hanover County Schools. I'm Ann Gibson, Chief Communications Officer, filling in for Ann David. Here on UpFront, we sit down with New Hanover County School Superintendent Dr. Charles Faust each month to discuss important topics facing our school system. The pandemic's effect on education has been on the forefront of parents' minds this school year, and it's the focus of today's show. We're in the middle of the first grading period under Plan C and remote learning for all. Recently, the Board of Education voted to accept Dr. Faust's recommendation that the district move to Plan B at the start of the second grading period. Welcome, Dr. Faust. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Before we talk about Plan B, can you give us a brief update on how things are going under Plan C and remote learning?
So Plan C, of course, we have students back in school virtually, and that's what I will allude to, the fact that what we want to be able to give students is an authentic learning environment. And so I think in some instances we have been able to accomplish that in Plan C. However, we do have to move kids back into the building slowly but safely. Mm-hmm. And so Plan C has done what it was supposed to do. That's
great. Looking ahead now, when we transition to Plan B, students will be rotating their attendance on a 3-week schedule of in-person and remote instruction. Mm-hmm. Can you give us an overview of how Plan B will work?
So, of course, 1 week we will be face-to-face, and 2 weeks we'll be out while the other groups are face-to-face. However, students will still be able to have the opportunity to get the full lesson if they would choose to stay in the lesson remotely. Mm-hmm. For that entire time that the teacher is teaching. Or we have students and parents who say, I'm not ready for my child to go back into school. They can stay in the remote learning style, which would be the Plan C. So we will technically have 2 options out there for our students. So it's changed for some, but for some it can stay the same.
I see. What's the school system doing to keep students safe?
So we have ordered all of the PPEs. We are practicing and have practiced some of the outlining issues with our principals and our custodial staff, food and nutrition, to make sure that everyone understands that first safety and then educating the students. So we are ready on the safety side. And so those are the biggest things, even when it comes down to the buses, the transportation, and there'll be some parents who will drop them off. We're going to be asking questions before you let them out of the car. So of course we are practicing safety, and we have our safety committee, and we have the deputy health director on that committee with us. So we get to hear from several different people in the medical world to help us guide us through this transition.
Mm-hmm. That's very helpful. What options are there for parents who don't want to send their students to school for in-person learning?
So they can choose to stay in Plan C. They can. The remote learning will still be viable for parents and for students. And so we welcome those parents to choose to stay in that mode.
Okay, great. How will parents know what rotation group their students are in?
So we plan to put that information out as early as this afternoon and no later than Friday. And so there will be 2 ways. The school will contact them via phone or via, they'll get a letter stating which group their child will be in.
Okay. Will there be any change in child nutrition services under Plan B?
No, we will still be in the summer feeding program, so individuals will still be able to be fed. However, of course, if you're in school, we'll be doing things a little bit different of how we get the food to the classrooms. So that'll be the only changes that's inside the building, but the summer feeding program will still be taking place.
Okay, great. And what can families do to learn more about what school will be like under Plan B?
So they can, of course, visit our website, and of course you can watch the board meeting. One of the things, or they can actually contact their principal. The principal will give them a rundown, because what we've chosen and given them are options at the board meeting, and each school will have its own signature on the learning that will take place in the buildings. What we were able to do is just give them an opportunity to see that these are some of the things that may happen. However, you can always contact the principal.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that parents should know or you would like families to know about our transition to Plan B?
Sure, that we value their input. In addition to, we believe that this is a crucial time for everyone. There's not going to be a right answer, but what we do know is that we have inspected the safetiness and we feel secure in offering Plan B at this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you for all of that great information, Dr. Faust. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we will talk with Deputy Superintendent Dr. LaShawn Smith about instruction under Plan B. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Days, months,
Hey, I'm Jim from across the street.
years,
I'd like to give you this.
a lifetime can rush by without realizing what we're missing. We lose some of the best moments, some that may never repeat,
Come on.
or detach from people around us. Our loved ones grow used to this pattern, but it doesn't have to be that way. We have a choice to take action. It's never too late to live a full life again. Hear how many of us Vietnam veterans have managed our mental health and reconnected with our families. Visit maketheconnection.net to find out more.
Women Heart is in a race to save lives. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. It's 80% preventable if you know the facts. Millions of women are living with or at risk of different types of heart disease, like AFib, which is a type of irregular heartbeat. It affects both women and men, but women with AFib have a higher risk of stroke and death than men. Get educated. See your doctor. Know the facts. Diet and exercise are key to staying healthy. Know the risks. Women Heart does something really unique, solely focusing on women and providing peer-to-peer support. To win this race, we all have to do it together. Our hearts beat as one. To learn more, visit womenheart.org.
Welcome back to UpFront with the Superintendent. We are joined now by Deputy Superintendent Dr. LaShawn Smith. She is over instruction for the school system and is going to talk to us today about what that will look like under Plan B. Welcome, Dr. Smith.
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. I know this is something that our parents are very eager to find more information about. Last night in the presentation to the board, we talked about what it would look like for different levels. Specifically for our youngest learners, our students who are in our early childhood programs, those students would have a schedule, if they're coming face-to-face, that would look very similar to their schedule prior to our emergency school closing last year. They would be in classrooms with their teacher assistants and their teachers as well, and really following that same routine. Of course, there would be less children present, but we want to bring to that classroom really the quality of instruction and the normalcy to the greatest degree possible that we had prior to that. For students who would be remote, they would actually be able to attend virtually during that time. And if they weren't able to attend virtually during that time, we would record those lessons that the teacher delivered with students who were present and make those available to our families.
That's great.
In the elementary school, we're working to do something very similar. Again, we want to provide that synchronous as well as asynchronous instruction. And so students who would be at home would be able to attend virtually. And then if they weren't able to attend at that particular time, then those lessons would be recorded and hosted in an on-demand type format. So the continuity again and the quality of the instruction again would continue. And then also for our elementary school students, there would also be a scenario in which there might be teachers we would identify who would work primarily with our students who were receiving remote instruction, as well as a different group of teachers who would be working with our students who would be primarily attending face-to-face. A lot of this really depends on staffing. But again, it really is about continuing the quality of instruction that we've presented thus far. And then again, middle school would mirror what we're doing with elementary. The schedule, however, would be slightly different with elongated blocks. And of course, we can share a lot more specific information with parents about that. In high school, it would be, again, providing that face-to-face instruction and that on-demand instruction if students weren't able to attend, but also, again, allowing students to attend virtually. But we also recognize in high school there are going to be some specific classrooms for whom that might not be appropriate. And an example that I shared last night at the board meeting was with ROTC. So in ROTC, you have what they consider are live activities, and so that you're not going to be able to stream in a synchronous way, but we would be able to record those lessons and then post those. So again, students would have full access to that content.
Great, great. Remind us again, what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous?
So synchronous is what we think about as live instruction. So if you're participating in a synchronous lesson, then you're participating in a lesson just as the teacher is delivering that lesson. Asynchronous is more of on demand. So an asynchronous will be a pre-recorded lesson that would be made available at a later time for a student to watch.
Okay, that's very helpful. And how will remote learning under Plan B be different from what students have been doing in remote learning under Plan C?
So to the greatest extent possible, we want to, as I shared before, maintain the quality of the instruction. Differences might be in that the teacher may be different for those students. Differences might be in that there are greater opportunities to attend or view the lessons on demand. So even though it's still remote, and even though there's still the opportunity for synchronous, for students to attend synchronously, we would be able to now post those lessons on, or host those lessons within the learning management systems that students are engaged in. This would again give parents much greater flexibility than they have right now. And then also if you're a parent who is supporting your student, you could always view that lesson with your student to provide them some additional support.
Thank you. Well, thank you once again, Dr. Smith, for explaining what instruction is going to look like under Plan B. When we return, we'll have a few more questions for Dr. Faust. We'll be right back.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90-mile-per-hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Welcome back to our final segment of UpFront with the Superintendent. Dr. Faust joins us for a few more questions. Welcome back, Dr. Faust.
Thank you.
The Board of Education recently elected a new board chair. Can you tell us how you plan to work with the school board and what is the difference between the chair and the other members of the board?
So the working conditions will remain the same as it comes with the elected officials whom govern our school district. So I plan to work actually the same. I think it was really big of Ms. Eastep. She and I had spoken about it before, and I think giving someone the opportunity to learn from her and assist as she's assisting, because she just stepped away from the role as chairperson. She didn't step away from the board, so she still provides great insight. And so there was no inside motive or anything to it. I think, again, like I said, I commend her for her efforts and her work that she has done. As far as the chairperson, that is the person who is in most contact with the superintendent. We usually talk weekly, sometimes daily, in reference to things that may be going on. The board chair is the person who assists with the agenda prep, making sure the guidance, if there are concerns, the board chair definitely guides the direction of that. And not saying that the other members don't do that, because if they do have concerns, they also do it. But it's the chair is just basically in charge of the meeting. But they all still have 1 vote. So it's not that the chair has more voting power than the others.
All right, thank you for that. You've mentioned one of your goals as superintendent is to increase transparency.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and how the district is going to achieve that. I know that there are going to be some town halls that are going to be held for the transition to Plan B.
Absolutely. So in that, yes, transparency is a must. There are no preconceived notions that I have. I often tell people after the superintendency, what do you have? So it's not like trying to climb to another pillar of anything. So actually talking about something that I love to do is really genuine for me. And making sure that we understand that we will always treat one another as professionals, and we will not be on an attack mode. It's okay, if this happened, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to fix it, this is the direction that we're going to go on. So we can sometimes give individuals roadmaps in conversations, and it's not always that we have to give you the specifics. And I think that's where we talk about being transparent. Transparency doesn't mean that I tell you everything that has happened. It's what is the roadmap, and sometimes acknowledging that there is a plan. So I welcome it, and a lot of times after we've had those conversations, people don't actually understand the transparency. It's like, oh wow, like, yeah, but if there's something that's broken and we need to fix it, we need to sometimes talk about it. I mean, and there's times that we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate that because we don't do enough of the celebrations.
That's great. At the board meeting, the board voted to push the November meeting back a week because of Election Day. Tell us a little bit about what that means and how the schools will be used on Election Day.
So, as you know, the schools will be closed, and there is a statute in our in the North Carolina policy that states that, of course, they can use some of our schools as polling places, and so that's what we're doing. It's nothing that's new or out of the ordinary for us. The unique part is that there will be no students in the building on that day, so the polling places will be able to clean and make sure buildings are clean after the polling is over, and we'll move back into the building and things will continue as normal when they're there, but we are always welcoming the community to come into the building and make sure that we are a place where we can both coexist in our facilities.
Great. Finally, last question. You're new to New Hanover County, and you've completed your first few weeks as superintendent. Tell us a little bit about how it's been going.
You know, it has been going really well. Any position will have some speed bumps. And so that's all we've had is some speed bumps. I knew coming in it was going to be difficult with COVID-19 being a part. The part is that I believe in planning. I'm a thinker. And so when we are talking about things, a lot of times I've already projected these are some of the questions that are going to be asked when we're presenting at board meetings. I do think as a board member, when we're doing it, I've watched them, I was like, well, this person may come from this angle. How do you answer that question? Or if, for instance, who's our audience and what we're presenting to? So, just getting accustomed to the culture will be something, but that comes with time. That's not something that we walk right into. So, but the first couple of weeks have been, delightful. I cannot say anything that has been out of the ordinary that I would have said, oh my gosh, no. It has been actually a wowing moment for the entire time.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you're a parent as well, so you're experiencing everything both as superintendent and as a parent.
I am. Sometimes I'm the person where I get the text, can you help me with this homework? I'm going to send you a snapshot of this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to work. I'm in a meeting. So I get it from the parent side, yes. And then, I like to cook, so I go home and I'm a cooker. So it's like, okay, you work, you help with homework. So I have a very normal life in the same, the only thing is I'm the superintendent of the school district. And so, yes, I get to see it as an educator, a parent, and superintendent. So, but I understand, oh my gosh, I understand all of the concerns that our parents are having, but it is fun. Sometimes to think, wow, I don't think I'm going to make it. And, you're tired. It's like, yeah, I have one more problem, Dad. It's like, oh, no. But yeah, those are the conversations, and I love having those conversations because one of the things is that you'll never get that time back with your children. And I say my youngest is in 7th grade, and so she'll only be in 7th grade once. And my oldest is a junior, and my wife and I are always talking, and when I say always, we're always going back to, wow, in one more year, that'll be it, because typically when most students go away to college, they don't come back home. And, as parents, we're wanting the best for our children. It's like, oh, we want them to be successful, but it's like, wow, like you really aren't going to be coming back. When you think about it, it's like it's saddening, but it's also celebratory, but it's like, oh wow, we've only spent X amount of years with our child and now they're out and going. That again, it's almost like contradicting yourself because like you want them to go, but then it's like, but we only have one more year. So yeah, we're just enjoying the time as being parents and this different way of teaching and instructing has been a way to bring families closer.
That's a very good point. That's right. Well, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Faust. We know a lot is happening over the next month, and parents will be facing many challenges. We appreciate you taking the time to discuss these issues with us and get your perspective on this. And again, be sure to join us again next month for a new edition of UpFront with the Superintendent. If you have a question or a topic you'd like to see discussed, you can email michael.mcguire@nhcs.net. That wraps up this edition of UpFront. On behalf of Dr. Faust and the staff of NHCS TV, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next month.